who is the best forma to pick up from this otherworldly bonds? I'm going to walk you through some things you should be considering and give you some ideas for units for you to pick up, but I wanted to bring this up. I had an entire slide that breaking down the individual priorities, but this is what it really boils down to. The best thing you can do is take an old unit and refurb them with this. Now, that is better if you have someone like a legendary or a mythic that comes with built-in uses. Even we talk about harmonics here, but there are a lot of different considerations, a lot of reasons that you'd want to take an old favorite and give them a ton of good fodder. Let's start with mythics.
A warrior is owed respect.
Elamine users have had it hard, but there's some great things you can pick up with this. I've still got her preference weapon and skill here. I've put Ice Lock on, which can really help you stem the tide of all of the enemy phase things that are coming at you. You add in things like Crystalline Water and a Trace 4 skill, and this unit has a lot of mobility and can really help you out. And whenever Freyr goes away, she's gonna come screaming back into the meta. The next unit I'm gonna show you is Thor, and it's important to note that what I'm showing you is builds that you're going to be using. We're gonna talk about that in just a second. I've got a whole breakdown of the other things you should be looking for than optimized kits, but Thor has an amazing refine, and you still want to be using her preference skill and preference weapon. You throw in Sly Sturdy and Assault Force, and this unit can do a lot of good for you. And those are two very expensive skills. This is a nice thing to pick up. Ashura. Ashura's a lot better than folks think. In the current meta, there are so often you have to specialize with things. Your savior or your tank can't always defeat all of the enemies coming at you, and you need someone who can really bring down the hammer. And this is a fantastic kit. Frost Moon is a brand new special. Reposition Gate is fantastic on her. Bonus Doubler and Lagoo's Friend are both hard to get and expensive, and all of those really come together to have a unit that, if you have already merged up, you can upgrade this to kill most things on the battlefield. The last in this group I want to talk about is Note, and Note is a unit that keeps coming back up for me. As a defense mythic, there just aren't a lot of solid ones that stay good year after year. The fact that this unit has Pathfinder and can extend your team's range is a big boon, but honestly, there's a lot of things that are lacking from her base kit. I'm keeping her preference weapon, but Fortifications and Lagoo's Friend along with Gust work really well together. Keep in mind she does not have Slaying with Hrimfaxi, so Gust does work with this. The last thing, of course, is that Kanto Curb Stomp, which is fantastic. The attuned skill is something you can play with. I do think Guard Echo is optimal. It does give her a little bit of the pierceable DR, but it also gives her Guard, which is fantastic against a lot of Gale Force teams as they come up against you. The next batch is the Light Mythics, and there are a lot of things you need upgraded with Light Mythics. The first one up is Milla, and I really like Stronghold on her. It makes her more bulky. That's really what I'm trying to do. A lot of times Milla is fantastic bait for that last unit standing, and she can take a hit while you're running around and grabbing pots. Stronghold can help with that, along with Arcane Fellstone and Dragon's Roar. Reposition Gate is going to be on every infantry and armor from here on out, so I probably won't mention it. But Barricade is really what you want to hone in on. There is so much warping, and having a unit that is a mythic that has Barricade is a big, big deal. The last little bit of that is the attuned skill, which is that Guard Echo, and that gives her a little bit more bulk and, of course, tries to stop the opponent from proccing their special, although special jump is just rampant right now. This next one is one of my favorite builds that I've seen. This is Air with Arcane Sly Knife, Attack Speed Mastery, Potent Disarm, and Shadow Shift. Now, the combination of these, a lot of times when you're looking at enemy phase teams, the defense to try to stop that is going to set up traps in order to keep you from setting up optimally. Air can come in and wreak havoc on that plan, along with having an additional reposition to help get your team in the correct spot. The attune skill is debatable, but having orders on a unit is a lot better than we give it credit for right now. So that is something that is handy. If you see another attune skill on there though, that one is a bit optional. Arcane Sly Knife combined with lethality can really hit hard, especially when you have potent. So if you need this unit to take things out in a pinch, she's obviously not going to be taking out a frontliner, but late game, she can really help you out. Ashe is an interesting one, and I've seen a lot of different builds for her. What I'm showing you here is more of a melee frontliner, but I've seen some stuff that tries to really lean into how well she attacks. So that is something to consider. I still think this is probably her optimal kit though, and Lagoo's Friend 4 plus Pavis is just excellent and can be something that's really handy. Attack Speed Fortune, I really wanted to keep her transformed, and this is a rare skill. What you'd really want is Attack Defense Fortune though, and so that's not 100% optimal. If you found something else in that A slot, I would say go for it. Obviously, she's using her new Refine in both her skill and her preference weapon. And then I have Reposition Gate and Pavis. Again, we'll talk about in a second, but I do think that's what you're going to be running on this unit. And then we have Dogger, which is one of my favorite units. And in fact, I wanted to pull her out and just do a highlight. If I were to have a target for this and tell you guys a unit that I think will have a lot of staying power, it's Dogger. Pathfinder, we have seen really ages well. And this unit with her Omni Unity has been just amazing. You add in perfect attack speed, and that gives you that null follow-up that you want. Keep in mind, she doesn't have slang, so Gust works just fine with Lagoo's Friend 4, and Brutal Tempest for just a little bit of Canto in there to help you out with your positioning. Times Pulse Echo is my pick, but keep in mind, Tempo Echo is also very good, and there's some other things you could play with there for the Attune skill. The big thing is, since we're not using her preference speed, it means we can get an Attune skill, and I love this build, and I have gotten so much use out of this unit. She is definitely my favorite out of the bunch, and I think she's going to have a lot of longevity. So after going through our first batch, I wanted to take a step back and just show you the difference when I talk about an in-use build, and this Thor build is an excellent example. In use, we're going to be using Worldbreaker Plus and War God Mjolnir, but what we're looking for in a Forma is Arcane Giant Axe and Haze Slice, and basically things that might come in handy if the preference weapon or skill go out of style, and that happens all the time. So you want a backup in there, and these are great skills on this unit. Air Orders 4 gives extra movement, 2 flyers. Haze Slice is really hard to get. We talked about Arcane Giant Axe, but that is a really fun one that is a new upgrade. What I want to bring up is the template that I'm giving you is the critical skills that I think are really going to help you and the things you should be looking for. When you're actually going through with your formas though, you want to make sure you're also looking for some things that are hard to get or aren't readily available, and that can change per person. Let's say you had a copy of Sly Sturdy Blow and you wanted to sacrifice that Edelgard for this unit and get something else in that A skill. To you, Sly Sturdy Blow is something that is available. That's not for most people and certainly not for me. So I am going to be looking for this for my target. But this is the build you're looking for, and you can kind of look around that because you're not going to find exactly this form of build. Keep that in mind as we go through all of these.
For humans and dragons.
First up, we have to talk about Legendary Fae, who got a fantastic refine, and Miracle is really good. If you want to use this unit as a frontliner, I think she will be excellent. I have seen what this build is kind of leaning more towards Omni Tank, and that is a hard thing to do right now. But Miracle's kind of amazing, especially combined with Lagoo's Friend 4. You put something like Barricade with this unit, and you can stop a lot of shenanigans from happening and kind of take the enemy piecemeal. This unit can do that very well. Next, though, we have Ninian, and I love this unit. I have a very invested one, and this one has Dragon's Roar, Attack Speed Excel, High Dragon Wall, which keep in mind that is more for scoring than anything else. This is absolutely an arena build, and then Shadow Shift 4. In Arena, having all of those things is fantastic, especially that Shadow Shift skill. This unit already gets another action after it dances, and being able to then reposition folks is another fantastic thing for this unit. I run this build, it's great. Know that you can also get Barricade, and there is so much warping in Arena right now that can save you a lot of heartache. Micaiah is next, and she is just a monster that can hit very, very hard, especially with this upgraded kit. Her high res really lends to Pulse Up Ploy, and of course you have the Sly Mirror build there. Now, Ruptured Sky is an interesting pick, and I know there are other things you can do here, Frost Moon in particular. The reason I have Ruptured Sky is this is still fairly rare, and if you are using this unit in Arena, Ruptured Sky is going to be the better pick, period. Just because you're not going to be hitting things as much, you want the lower cooldown. Now, if you are using this unit for somewhere else, I do like Frost Moon a lot better, so be on the lookout for that. The last, of course, is Dimitri, and we showed this just a second ago, but I kind of want to break this out. And looking at this unit, we have Aerith Farr, Reposition Gate, Haze Slice, which is excellent on him. And then we have Perfect Attack Speed, Speed Taker 4. Keep in mind, one of the things this unit is lacking right now is killing power, and the true damage from Speed Taker 4 can really be nice. Endless Tempest, and keep in mind I have this as an arena build as is because I think that's where most people use this unit. This is one of the most popular legendaries that we've ever had, so keep that in mind. Endless Tempest with the Dull All effect is fantastic. In Arena, there are still a ton of visible buffs, and that gets rid of them, which is great. The last thing here is the Tempo Echo, and it gets that piercing back into this unit's kit. This is a really fantastic build. I love this unit. I will be on the lookout for this because I would love to upgrade this unit, and he's very expensive. How expensive, you might ask? I wanted to break down just looking at how exactly expensive these things would be. These are average numbers for summoning on a regular banner, so keep in mind there are ways that you could get some of these things cheaper. We're just about to have Divine Codes, that's a way, or you could have some of this fodder in your barracks. But for this unit, that is a whopping 722 orbs if you count in the cost of the unit himself. If you also get an arcane weapon, that brings the total up to 850 almost. That is a ton of orbs for a premium kit, and it's one of the problems with older units right now. We always complain about older units don't work. That's not the case. Older units can absolutely work. They just end up being more expensive than newer units. 850 orbs gets you a good ways into merging a brand new legendary. Let that soak in a bit. Now, normally this would cost you $55 US and more elsewhere, but right now, it's free. That's amazing. So remember that the more things that you can get on your unit that's special, the more value you get out of this otherworldly bond.
Good dreams are born.
Next up, we have dancers, and we need to talk about the state of dancers briefly. Here's the thing. Dancers, their ceiling has been lowered. They're no longer the absolute must-have units that they used to be. It used to be that a new dancer would come out and everyone would clamor for them. That is not really the case because of saturation. We've gotten so many good dancers as well as different ways to get extra actions that their value has lowered a bit. What hasn't changed is the floor. The minimum good that a dancer is still very high compared to other units, and that's a big deal. That means if you chose to use your forma on a dancer, the chances are you're going to be using that same dancer for a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. Case in point, all of these units are old, and I use every one of them. So, first up, we need to talk about Peony, and really when you're looking at this, I don't really want you to think about individual units. I want you to think about different things that you can do. So, case in point, this is a Wings of Mercy dancer, and you could put that same kit on any one of these. We have Attack Speed Mastery, Wings of Mercy 4. Those two together are really nice. Being able to warp in and dance someone and then canto away is fantastic in any sort of player phase strategy. Then you have the Crux skill, which I still absolutely love, even though we are seeing more null follow-up right now. The thing is, on Gale Force, being able to give your units an extra action is huge. Then we have Aerobatics, which is nice. I do have Soaring Echo on there. It's my favorite, even though on Gale Force teams it's not just 100% necessary. For dancers in general, I almost always want Soaring Echo on there. You do notice that I've gotten rid of her preference dance. If you're talking about an enemy phase team, there are a lot of cases where you might want that. But if you're also running Rune, he gives a lot of the things that Peony did just for free without the dance, which is very nice. It opens up that attune skill for some different things that you could do with it. When we talk about Plumeria, one of the things that really stands out is the high res, and I've kind of really steered into that with Crystalline Water and Still Water here. This is not something you could do with Peony, but you can have other buffs that you could put on her if you wanted to. Now, you have the Speed Res Discord, which in Astra Season is not as good, but can still be good. Not every team runs Freyr, and so that is something that you can put on there. Past that though, I do have Frost Moon. It's probably not going to be a thing that you use all the time, but it's so rare, and when you do go into combat, you want to make sure you have something that will hit hard. Last, we have Soaring Echo, and I talked about that, but I love that on every single unit we have. Next up is Mirabilis, and one of the things you're looking at there is the Wings of Mercy Echo. I like Wings of Mercy 4 for player phase teams more than I like Wings of Mercy Echo. If you have ever played with that, being able to warp in within 2 spaces of a unit is incredibly powerful. And I don't find B skills on dancers to be as critical in the player phase teams. This, however, is a unit on defense and something to look at. Now, we have fortifications here, which is kind of an interesting thing. There have been more times than I can count where Mirabilis has actually gone in and smacked something and not died. That's crazy for a dancer, and honestly, this unit can really wreak some damage. You have Sabotage on there, which is helpful. Breath of Life on a defense team is really nice, as well as Stillwater just to boost up the res a little more. Defensive dancers have gone out of style a bit, but I can tell you this, they will be back. I promise you, in the high mobility teams, Mirabilis is very, very good, and we will see her again. But the last dancer I want to talk about is Dorothea, and I want to break her out and just look individually at her kit. This is really a fun unit. I have Art Game Blute Gang because honestly her preference tome is just trash. We have Dance on there, Frost Moon, which we've talked about, and then Attack Speed Mastery, which on dancers I love. I would probably suggest this on any dancer that you have control over. In the AI's hands, Canto is kind of terrible. In your hands though, it's pretty fantastic. Attack Defense Cantrip is also really handy for any debuffs that you get mid-turn so that they actually stick and aren't cleansed by someone like Freyr. And then Shadow Shift, we talked about it, but is really fun in combination with Attack Speed Mastery. I use this unit a lot in Resonant Battles because, I mean, she's amazing there, but I find myself using her a lot in other places as well. I got a Forma not too long ago with an upgraded kit, and she is very malleable and has a harmonic skill that can dance units within their game. That is very, very powerful all in of itself. I'm a big fan of this unit, and if you already have a built-out Peony and Plumeria, this would be next on my list. We're going to take a brief pause and talk about the FEHology store. This is only open to YouTube members right now, but I'm really proud of a lot of this stuff. This was a lot of fun to make, and I mean, this is a chance for me to get stuff that I can wear and put on stuff that's Fire Emblem, and I love that. I hope this is stuff that you guys love as well. With this mug that I'm using right now, you can show your support for Edelgard and finally clear her name in a mug.
I'll study your technique.
I want to talk about role players next, and these are some of the most powerful examples of units you can use right now. The thing is, a lot of these units are good as one-offs, and all you need is an upgraded kit. this is your chance. Now, Chrom is the exception. You really only want to go for this Chrom if you're using him as a merge project, but this is still a very good unit in Arena. He scores very high, and to change fate will just always be powerful because getting specials is always good. Now, you add in attack speed perfection, which obviously is just all over here, and I love the null follow-up that it gives to infantry units. Lagoo's Friend 4 is hard to get because it takes up 4 slots, but you also have Times Pulse Edge, which is the new one that is Times Pulse plus stats, which is fantastic for this unit, especially in conjunction with Aether, which part of the problem with Aether is the high cooldown. With this, you get it to low enough that you can really smack things around, especially in conjunction with Change Fate. I have had this unit tank more than a few opponents in Arena. This is a fantastic unit if you want to upgrade him. The next up is Tibarn, who got some fantastic support. This is an opportunity to take that support and ramp it up a level. We have Attacker's Fortune, and honestly, you're going to be going up against a lot of dragons right now, and this is really handy in those situations. Momentum 4 is another one of those skills that it takes up 4 slots to inherit, so it's a fantastic one to have on any of these formas. For him in particular, it helps him hit even harder. I have Sturdy Beast on here, but with Momentum, you have a good case for actually switching him to an AoE build. Then we have Barricade, and I've had this on a couple. This is really hard to get. This is only on one unit and is fantastic here. The other thing is, because this unit doesn't have a preference skill, you can have whatever attune skill is available. I've got Soaring Echo because honestly it is my favorite of the flying attune skills, but there are a lot of other things you could do with this one. Attack Oath Echo and Wings of Mercy Echo come to mind there. This next one up though, this is Sedith, and I mean, this unit got one of the most busted refines ever, and this is a chance to take a 4-star and to absolutely deck him out with all of the skills under the sun. This makes him even more supportive and is a lot of fun for your units. If you are trying to build an enemy phase team, he can really help you out in summoner duels or in Aether raids. That includes the armor ball teams on defense though. There are a lot of different uses that you can have to really optimize this unit. And the last is Thor, who honestly just always stays good. I do have Frostmoon up here. There's a case to be made that that should really be an AoE, but I had to put Frostmoon up there. Sly Mirror helps her hit even harder, and of course that Discord skill in the B really helps out. You add that in with Shadow Shift, and this unit can do a lot of good. Keep in mind, it doesn't show it here, but if you do have Shadow Shift, you'll want to put the Sigurd ring on this unit. You have to have Kanto in order for Shadow Shift to work. Last, of course, is Soaring Echo, and there will be a time where this unit gets a refine, and that C skill will probably include some sort of Soaring Echo, but seasonal refines are coming really, really slowly, so that'll probably be a while. In the meantime, you'll have Soaring Echo there for this unit. Next up, we have Emir, and honestly, this is one of my favorite units to use right now. With a lot of the hit and run teams that you have on Aether Raid's offense, she is phenomenal, but also versus a lot of the crazy Lin stuff, this unit can really help you out with her Miracle. And this is a way to kind of up her game. Keep in mind, when she's using that rally up speed skill, she is cleansing debuffs, and that is in phase, so you don't have to worry about all the crazy order that things are happening. It just works. I do have the Trace 4 skill on her, which I find to be very handy. There are some different things you can do with that, but overall, this is a really fun unit to have and to be able to use. We have Chrom up next, and I mean, this is another unit that seems to just stay good year after year. He got a decent refine, but he was already fairly high on there, and having Haze Slice and Sly Sparrow is really nice on that unit. You add in Assault Force, and you get some piercing in there as well as Null Follow-Up from that even Speed Wave 4. All of these are fantastic and can really upgrade this unit. Next up is Duma, and I throw him up here. Honestly, there are a lot of armors that you can upgrade, and because of Shield Fighter, it means there are a lot of older units that can be used here. This is my one example, and I think he's the best case for it because he has such a great dual button, but you have Scowl on there, which basically means you have Double Scowl, which is kind of what you need right now with all the special jumping. Shield Fighter, of course. And then you have Higher Ground. And there's this whole roll compression thing where you have a unit that is very tanky and stops warping. That is incredible, and any beast or dragon should be looking for that skill. It's very, very good. Reposition Gate, and of course I have Aegis on there, but you'd be looking for a Dragon's Roar just to get the most rare skill you can possibly have. The last one I have up here is Edelgard, and I kind of want to break her out because there are a lot of things you can do with this unit. I've got Armor Blaze, Sly Sturdy Blow, and Assault Rush, which is basically trying to make Valentine's Edelgard that we have at home. But the thing is, this unit also has a duo skill, which can come in very handy, and has a dual phase Brave weapon. The real reason I want to highlight this unit is this is what you want to be looking for, and that's one of the last things I want to leave you with. You want to have a unit that when you give them new fodder can be used in a different way. This unit up until now has been made mostly irrelevant, and this is a chance to upgrade them and put them back in a role that they really enjoy being in. You have good bones here. Dual phase Brave and extra actions will always be good. This is a chance to take that and really upgrade her and get a lot of use out of an old favorite. The last thing I want to leave you with is just some tips and things you want to remember. When you inherit these units, it includes traits, but not florets. You get max dragon flowers, and of course you get the arcane and attuned skills. The big thing I want to point out though is these tips. And the first one is pick your own unit. It's the one that's going to show up the most. By picking your own unit, it takes it out of that pool that it shuffles through, and that is very important. The next one, please don't go crazy on the first day. The thing is, on the first day, everyone is still putting their units up. Allow that to settle. Allow people to get their new stuff up before you burn through as much of this as you possibly can. The last is a reminder. Just remember that you keep the forma from the match even if you lose. So that is a difference from Hall of Forms and something that takes a little bit of the pressure off. If you're looking for some tips on how to upgrade a unit and how to help them do damage, I have a whole guide on that. Go check that out. Members, you are amazing. Thank you for all you do. Take care and schedule an appointment with your FEHologist real soon.